And welcome. Another episode of the Crowded Booth. I'm Bryce Koon alongside Coach Tanner Glisson here of Troup County High School. We're here at Coach's in West Point, Georgia, a go-to place here. And Coach, I'll let you take it away real quick before we get started. Tell us about this place.
This is an awesome place, Bryce. We're down here at Coach's in West Point. Matt Livingston is the owner of Coach's and does a really, really good job supporting the community. They're known for their wings. I got me some wings to go home with, and we come down here quite a bit, but Matt Livingston and his folks do a great job.
Yeah, definitely from everything I've heard and the scenery around here, it's definitely a place to come watch sports here in the area. And I know people are excited as we see all the football on screen. It's coming close to football season. If you want to be able to watch this episode and catch up with all of our other episodes, make sure to follow us on all social media. That's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to get all in the loop of every episode, including this one. And we'll start it off, Coach, as you're here coaching at Troup County High School, not too far down the road. And tell us a little bit how you got started in coaching. What's your passion for coaching, and what was the first time that you said, hey, I would like to be a football coach?
Well, I actually got started in your mother's hometown in Manchester, Georgia, and just grew up there and played there and got my first start there as an assistant coach. I moved there. From there, went to Greenville High School with Jeremy Williams, and then spent 1 year in Columbus at Shaw High School, and came back to Manchester as defense coordinator, and then was the head coach there, which was my dream, for 2 years, and then moved over to Troup County, and this will be our fourth season coming up here at Troup County.
We talked about before the show your 4 years here at Troup County. You're starting year number 4, and so you've had these freshmen through seniors for the whole cycle. You talk a little bit about how you started at Troup and where you are now.
Well, it was kind of a unique situation in that the principal at Troup County High School, Chip Metters, he and I coached together for probably 12, 13 years. And so I was fortunate enough to take the job over at Troup County, but I was hired very, very late. I was hired actually June the 1st, that first year. And it was a rebuilding stage, and we ended up going 1-9. We played some really good football teams. I think it was 8 total playoff teams. And then the following year, we were able to, catch our wind a little bit, get our feet up under us, and we won 8 ball games. Actually, I think it was 8 straight football games to go 8-3. And then last year we went one better, went 9-3, and lost in the playoffs to St. Pius. And looking forward to our 4th season.
So as you embark on season number 4 here, coming off a very successful season last year, you talked about that playoff loss. What are things that you're looking forward to? You got some talent on the field. We were talking about this as some guys that are going Division I. You can name those guys as well, the guys that are just really developed in the past 4 years. And what does it mean to coach guys throughout the whole 4 years, watch them grow, and to be able to just have the opportunity to further their playing career at these big schools?
Well, first and foremost, this senior class is very, very special to me, just for what we mentioned earlier, is that I've been with them for 4 years, and they went through the hardship of the 1-9 and the growth of the program, but we're very excited. We're bringing back 8 starters on one side of the ball and 9 on the other, and so we're very, very excited about that. We do have some blue chip players that have developed over the years with King Makuta. He'll be a rising senior, and he's committed to Alabama. Jamari Thrash, a wide receiver that's got several offers at Georgia Southern, Georgia State, those kind of offers. And then if you dip down, also in the senior class, Jacorius Willis is probably a top 150, 200 prospect in Georgia. That's a really good player. And then that sophomore class, you have 2 Auburn commits. One is Kobe Hudson, and one is Andy Boykin. And so, those guys make you look pretty good. But we have a lot of other really, really good high school football players. And so we're just really excited to get the season started.
Season's coming up here. We were talking earlier this week, acclimation period here as the guys are getting used to, starting in shells and helmets and getting the shells and shorts, and then it's pads, and that's kind of where you see that separate, the boys to men separate. What are you most excited about, and why is this time of the year exciting for you?
Well, it's the start of something fresh. Everybody's 0-0, and everybody has big expectations and big dreams. The acclimation period is kind of it's a weird little setup there, because most of us who go 365 are pretty well conditioned for the elements, and I think Georgia High School Association has that in place just as a safeguard. But it's kind of now that the kids are kind of tired out of having helmets on, because they've had them on pretty much all summer, and they're like, hey, let's go ahead and at least put the shoulder pads on and get in shells, get in full gear, and that thing that everybody looks good in shorts, and so we're ready to kind of kick it in gear, and that'll happen next week on Wednesday.
Now, what are your expectations? You come in, like we talked about, on 2 successful campaigns, kind of building from the ground up like you were talking about. you enter with a very good senior class, but you talked about that depth as well. That's definitely important to have. Those good players within the junior, sophomore, and freshman class. What is your expectations as you head into this season? First game, I think, is August 24th against Ridgeland. And what are your expectations for this season?
Well, first and foremost, our internal expectations are always very high. And so that's, nobody outside of our walls are going to put expectation on us that we don't already put on ourselves. But we can feel the buzz. We can hear the noise. A lot of people are excited about our football team, as we are. But we still have a long ways to go. I mean, I told the team just today that, we're not going to win a championship today. We got to get a little bit better, but we're not a championship caliber team at the moment. We got to work towards that. But it's a good situation to be in. That first year that we were here, I think we started about 5 or 6 freshmen. In the 8-3 year, I think we started 4 or 5. Last year, I think we started maybe just 1 or 2, and now we're getting down. We don't have to start any freshmen. So the depth factor is really, really good in our favor right now.
One thing, talking to a lot of different high school coaches and going to games and playing within GHSA, it's a lot of talent here in the state of Georgia. You've talked about your region. I mean, your region is housing some really powerhouses. I mean, you've had to play against guys, and we talked about this, Trevor Lawrence up at Cartersville, Clemson. He's enrolled there now. And seeing guys like that, I mean, and you've seen your own team grow up in front of your eyes, really, and compete with these guys. How fun is it? I know it's hard, but how fun is it to play in a region this competitive?
Well, I think first and foremost, if you're a competitor, you want to play at the highest level. You want to play really, really good competition. And we tried to beef up our non-region schedule, but our region schedule is such a bear. I mean, you're dealing with the likes of Sandy Creek and Cartersville and Cedartown and Central of Carrollton and Chapel Hill and those football teams. LaGrange, who is a big rivalry for us. And so it's just a bear of a schedule. It's like being in the mini SEC.
Yeah.
And so, number one, our guys get geared up for that. And on top of that, we have tried to create a competitive non-region schedule with Ridgeland, who went 11-1 last year in Quad A. And then we'll have Columbus High here on a Thursday night, and then we'll turn around and play Callaway and Harris County. And so, which are 2 rivalry games, one to the south, one to the north. And so, it's a very, very competitive schedule that should keep us on our toes.
Once again, here we're at Coaches in West Point, Georgia, with Coach Tanner Glisson, head coach at Troup County. Coach, we transition to this other topic here, something that I think a lot of fans, and this time of the year, you see a little more of it, and it seems like, especially with football, people want football 365 days a year.
Right.
And the rise of social media over the past 5 to 10 years has really created that. What is one thing that you've seen in how this social media age has helped the rise of high school football?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think a lot of people, especially down here in the South, get really geared up about college football and high school football and the pride that goes into their communities. And the social media has enhanced that. It's at your fingertips now. You can get information about what's going on at Troup or other programs and recruiting and this and that. So, people like you doing such a great job, being able to get it out to the public is what kind of they're starving to get that information, and it's just like a constant cycle now where it has become 365.
It definitely is. Different recruiting websites have just covered it all year long. You have guys that are dedicated to just covering high school football all year long in the recruiting cycle. You've been fortunate enough to have some guys like we talked about that are committed to some big-time schools and other guys that have offers to other schools. What is it like to be a coach and be able to coach guys that they're going to be able to play at the next level anywhere? I mean, whether it's D1, D2, D3, it's the next level, and that's really your job as a coach. You want to prepare them as men, but also give them an opportunity. What is it like to see guys get that opportunity?
Well, first of all, I think it makes you a lot better football coach, to have those type of guys, and it makes me look real smart. But I think the biggest thing is a lot of times coach in my position gets too much credit and too much blame. I think it's really somewhere in the middle. When Keem Makuta or Andy Boykin or Kobe Hudson commits to an SEC school, they say, "Oh, well, Coach G and that Troup, they got them going," and we appreciate that. But then also when you have a kid over here that's 5'7" and thinks he's going to the SEC, and mama gets upset with you, So I think really the truth is in the middle, and it's gotten to the point now where recruiting is so big, and these college coaches do such a good job of evaluating talent that number one, if you're in a good program and you're doing the right things physically and mentally, that you're going to be on the radar screen. But I think the biggest issue now is the pressure that are on those kids through the social media. just the pressure to commit here, the pressure to commit there, the pressure to know what you're doing at every waking moment. Where are you? Are you visiting here? Are you visiting there? Or you're at home in your bed? And so I think the pressure on those kids is something that if you're not really tied into something like that, a lot of people really cannot understand and fathom how deep. Like you said, people are paying money to get information on 18-year-old kids.
And that's
and that's you think about that for a minute, it sounds real silly. And so I think that kind of pressure is just, I don't even know how you put it into words.
And if you can, walk us through a day. What is it like having these assistant coaches and coaches calling you, and how do you go about putting together essentially evaluations for your own players for these college recruiters?
Well, first and foremost, I think one of the best things is that the college have certain periods that they can contact you, and of course they can contact me anytime, but the kids and visit schools. And just this past season, we had 91 schools visit Troup in about a 3-week span, which obviously kept me on my toes because I'm supposed to be teaching and doing some things. And so that's first and foremost. What we try to do is Huddle has made that tremendously easy. So you can go into Huddle with game highlights and film and stuff and just mass email that out to people who want to see it or provide them a link. But what we do is people who are potentially at that level, we create player prospect sheets. And number one, we hand those to every college recruiter that comes in the door. And we also mass email that out as well. And of course, once you get a little momentum in recruiting and have some guys, and we don't have to work as hard as we once did because they know, hey, Troup County's got some players, they're coaching them right. And so really, they do all the lead work and getting in touch with us.
You talked about the pressure these kids are under from social media. I mean, just being on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, whatever these kids are on, and mostly Twitter, a guy puts up that he commits somewhere, and I mean, for example, guy commits to put in Alabama, and especially in this area, Auburn fans are ragging him right down underneath saying hashtag War Eagle.
Sure.
What are some of the things that you've told your kids that have committed somewhere and how to handle themselves and be careful with the social media aspect for your players, not even for kids that are going to college, but just you talked about it's a great thing and it's helped get information about programs as well, but it can also, we've seen, it can hurt players and individuals as well and hurt their stock. What advice do you offer?
Well, and we try to go really in depth and try to educate all of our guys about social media. Number one, just talking about what we're trying to sell and who we are, and make sure we don't get stains on our reputation. But the biggest thing is, we set up some parameters. We don't like to do it true. Okay, today Keem Makuta is going to release his top 15. We don't try to play games with it, because what happens is when you play some games, some head coaches in the SEC and other colleges and recruiters, hey, they're human too, and they I don't want to say they get their feelings hurt, but I guess they get their feelings hurt, and there's this and that. So what we try to do, we try to be honest and upfront with the people who are recruiting them. We try to narrow our focus to schools 3 to 5 that we feel like are good fits for them. We don't push them one way or the other. We just provide information and allow them to make their own decisions with whoever the parent is that's involved. And then on top of that, we try to honor our commitments, and we don't believe in the decommitment process. We talk about, hey, anytime a kid comes to my office and says, Coach, I think I'm ready to commit, I try to play devil's advocate of why not to commit. Yeah. And if they hit all the checks and all the boxes, then I say, okay, well, maybe it's time. But we're really, really strict about, and of course, I don't think, so far so good, but I don't think it's going to hold up forever, is that we've never had a kid decommit as long as I've been there. Once they've committed, they stuck with their commitment. But there are a lot of changeable parts, whether the position coach leaves or head coach leaves or whatever, that may factor in that as well. So, it's just a juggling that, trying to keep it all in perspective.
Another thing, talking about recruits, is they have all these camps, for quarterback, the Elite 11 camps, Trent Dilfer's story. I mean, all these different camps and Nike camps. And how do you manage that, and how is it a thing if you have a kid that has the opportunity to go to that? What does it mean to have all these different camps and exposure that 15, 20 years ago didn't exist? Right.
Well, first and foremost, and like I said, going back earlier, we're blessed at Troup that we had 91 coaches come through and during spring. So during the evaluation period, what better way to evaluate our guys than right there on the practice field? Mm-hmm. And so what we have to understand is a lot of these things are money makers. Mm-hmm. And a lot of kids are paying a lot of money. They wouldn't be doing all of this if somebody wasn't making money off of it. So first and foremost, we give at Troup, we're lucky enough, we sit right here on 85, we're able to give a hands-on with college people that come through to see our guys. But, we do a lot of team stuff, so we try to keep them away from the individual type stuff that they may do at some of those camps. And they get pulled in a lot of directions because, ones that are sponsored by Adidas or Nike or whoever, Under Armour, they want to get their hands on them and they want to send them down to IMG or they want to send them to the Army All-American game or whatever so they can kind of brand them. And, it's just it's a situation you really got to keep your thumb on.
And we talked about all these different things. A little bit of a lighter question as we wrap up here. This might be a hard one putting on the spot. What is your favorite moment, Coach? Maybe game,
no,
win or anything. What is your favorite moment, Coach?
Game is not that fun for me as it used to be as an assistant coach, and here's why. The deal is you're going and you're putting your livelihood on the line with 16, 17, 18-year-olds on Friday night and hoping that you train them the right way to respond the right way. And if you don't, your job may hinge on it. So games are a lot more about stress than they are anything from a head coaching perspective, at least with my experience. I enjoy the practice time. I enjoy being around the guys. I enjoy the day-to-day process with those guys in the classroom and the interactions that we have. And then I enjoy when guys go off to college or go off to the workforce and they come back and they talk about, what they want to see and the legacy to continue. And those are the most fun things, the relationships you have with the coaches and their families, and more so than what happens on just one. If you think about it on a regular schedule, you're playing 10 Fridays, 300, in a calendar year. Mm-hmm. And so that's not a whole lot. So if you're just going to base it all on 10 Fridays, you might be in it for the wrong reasons. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, definitely sounds like you are excited for the season that's coming up and definitely are looking to build off that success and have a good gauge of what it's like to be in the recruiting world. So I want to thank you for coming on today and talking to us. So just a little bit about Troup and Georgia High School Association in general and just what it's like to be a coach in the day-to-day life of a coach in high school football. So once again, thanks for joining us here at Coaches with Coach Tanner Glisson here at Troup County High School. We're here in West Point, Georgia at Coaches, so make sure to come and check it out if you already haven't. It is a sports hub, I guess to say. All the TVs in here.
Stadium seats.
It's a really nice atmosphere. And we want to thank you for watching. If you're listening, thank you as well on iTunes. And make sure to subscribe to us on all social media. That's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to catch the latest episodes. Thank you very much, and y'all have a great day.